reports. What I like to do, are we still there? Yeah, got it. I love to fill out reports. Why? Because it showed what I was doing. So let's go back over. Michael, why do you want to do that much? Why do you want to work that hard? Why do you want to put that many hours? Because of this right here. Call sheet. 30 calls a day. Believe me, I know that some of y'all have been here, well, over 14 years. But some of you rookies that are 2 years and younger, 30 calls a day is nothing. I used to jump out at strip malls and make 12 calls in an hour. Now, it doesn't mean that everybody answers the door. It doesn't mean that everybody answers the phone, but you write them down. You write them down, and you keep this log sheet. I've got 11 years worth of file log sheets that I can go back to on a wintry day and make calls. But anyway, you make those 30 calls a day and you write them down. Now, Michael, why do you want to make that many calls? All right, let's get this back over here. Y'all see the sheet? Now listen, even you veterans, listen to me. Numbers don't lie. I'm not shouting, am I? Y'all hear me? Okay. Numbers don't lie. Renee's told you, your district managers have told you, you've got to make calls. Why? To make appointments. You don't make appointments, you're not helping anybody. So let's talk about this sheet right here. There's a mathematical rule called the 1/2 rule. What's that? That means everything you do is going to be cut in half as far as sales. Let's say you make that 30 calls a day, which is 135 calls a week, because I gave you a Friday, half a day off to do your reports. Down there, I said 30 calls a day times 4.5 days. That's 135 calls. Believe me, people, that's not hard to do, especially if you put your phone down. I'm sorry to, the phone deal is quickly becoming an issue. But regardless, let's say you've made that 135 calls a week and you were blessed enough to make 10 appointments. That's a lot of appointments. That's a lot. Okay. So on that first line, you see where I says 1/2 rule, I said 10 appointments. Y'all see that? Shake your head if you do. Come on, stay with me. Okay, good. Half of those are going to see you. The other half are going to forget you were coming by. They've got the flu. Their daughter's got a dance recital. Their wife forgot to tell him to remind him that you were coming by. Half of those are not even going to see you. Probably not even there. And if you do show up, how many times have you been told, oh, I forgot you were coming by today? I know you. Please tell me you've had that experience. Okay? Half of those are going to see you. So let's say you made that 10 appointments and you did get into 5 people that actually said, hey, Michael, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a meeting. You said out of those 5 meetings, you're going to get out of those 5 meetings, you're going to set half of them. Now you've got 2.5 meetings to go to. So you go to those 2.5 meetings, half of those are going to tell you to come back and go to the inner sanctum. You know where that is, don't you? That's the employee, that's the employer office, that's the HR department, that's past the gatekeeper. Come on, tell me you know about past the gatekeeper. So you finally get past the gatekeeper, you get into the employer, okay? Now you've got one, that's 1 1/4. Half of those 2.5, you're going to get into half of them. And half of those, that's 1 1/4. Out of that 1 1/4, you're going to close half of it. So now out of those 10 appointments, you've closed half, you've got 0.625 closure. Well, that's not even a group. So it takes 2 weeks to make a group. You know what? That's not bad. Think about it. 1 week every 2, one group every 2 weeks. That's 12 groups a year, I think. No, that's 24 groups. That's a lot of groups if you're so blessed. Michael, I don't want to work that hard. I don't want to make that many calls. I got other things to do. What other things do you have to do? This is your business. So I said, no, I said, if you don't make 10 calls, make five, look at the five appointments. You haven't made 10 appointments because you haven't set that 135 calls. You set 5 appointments. Well, there's the 1/2 rule. Go across the rate. Half of those are going to see you. That's 2.5. Half of that's going to let you back into the office. That's 1.25. Out of that, you're going to close you're going to see 0.625. You're going to close half of that. You're going to close 0.3125. I didn't make this up. This is a mathematical rule, 1/2 rule. I learned this from my mentor 14 years ago, and it worked. And it worked. But you got to be willing to make the calls. And calls, let's talk about calls. Let's go back down to tracking. Okay, over here where it says calls. What's a call, Michael? Well, it could be approaches. I love cold calls back then. Lord forbid, it's been a long time since I can make 30 calls a day. I don't make 30 calls a day anymore. I can't. I'm too busy servicing my groups. I still try to make 2 or 3 when I'm out servicing. But back then, approaches, knock on the doors. They don't answer. Write it down. That's a call. The guy yawning in the front, he needs some coffee over here. Just joking, everybody. Come on, liven up a little bit. Okay. All right. So, by the way, the guy, Renee sent me a picture of you guys. I got it right here in front of me. You guys look pretty sharp. Some of y'all wearing a couple of Cowboys hats. Somebody was wearing a red tie. I like that tie. You notice I'm wearing a red tie. I wear a tie every day. I love ties. I love them. All right. My mentor also said, don't wear an Aflac shirt. Don't wear an Aflac shirt or an Aflac cap or anything that says Aflac when you walk into the meeting or to call on somebody. Because the minute they see that, they go, oh, I know about Aflac. I know what Aflac is. We don't need that. We've had that before. We've had them come by before. Don't show your cards before you even get into the inner sanctum. Don't tell them who you're with until you have to. Let's go back to calls. Approaches, telephones. You know, I like the telephone calls, but not as much as cold calling. Let me tell you what, during COVID, that was tough. That was tough. But I'd knock on the door and I'd sit outside and I'd say, I'm outside your door. Can I come and see you? No. Can you come out to see me? No. Can I call you on the phone and FaceTime? Yes. I still made my calls and I still set up my groups. And I was so blessed to make President's Club. It was a wild ride. Okay. So approaches, telephones, networking. I'm not too much into networking. I know you younger generation are. That's fine. But I don't believe in going to the computer and doing Genie. I'm sorry, I don't do it, Renee. I don't go on my computer and look up zip codes. I don't look up groups. How many groups is it? How many employees in this? I don't. I just make my cold calls. I go out there and make my cold calls. I make my approaches. How much time do I have, Renee?
Whatever you need.
Okay, listen. Referrals. Referrals are paramount. Referrals are golden. Vehicle signs. About 3 years ago, I'd gone out. I made my 30 calls, maybe even more than that. Nobody liked me that day. Nobody. I don't even know if I even got into anybody. At the stoplight, about 3 blocks from my house, to the left of me was a sign that said Signal 88 Security. I picked up my phone. I called the number. The guy picked up. He was sitting there looking. I was looking at him. I said, I'm with Aflac. He said, Aflac? I'm a retired police department, police officer from St. Louis. We had Aflac up there. I'd love to have Aflac with me. Well, how many employees you got? 12. Beautiful. Come by and see me tomorrow. Vehicle signs. I've made it a hobby about vehicle signs lately because I don't have much time to make the cold calls. You could sit at a gas station there in Fort Worth. Oh my gosh. How many vehicles go by with companies on them? Plumbers, ACs, electricians. I could go on and on. There's some that I don't call on anymore because I know that they're a little bit tough. You know, I don't call on contractors or 1099ers that I know that have, you know, regardless. So, vehicle signs. And then follow-ups. You make this sheet and you make those 30 calls a day. All right, I'll tell you what, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. You make 20 calls a day. and you put this aside and you've made notes. Somebody said, come back and see me. Or if you made those appointments, you make sure you're there. And by the way, after you make the appointment, I never call to confirm. Hey, Mr. Joe, just want to remind you that I was going to come by tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock with that. Like, oh, I'm glad you called, Michael. I can't do that. Oh, I'm glad you called, Michael. My daughter stumped her toe. Whatever. You don't call. I never called to reconfirm an appointment. You go. And if they're there and they can't see you, then you say, certainly I understand that. You're praying that they are remorseful. Hey, listen, Michael, I couldn't see you today. I can't see you today because whatever, my son's soccer match. I said, no problem, whatever. Can I see you tomorrow or Thursday or Friday? What day is best for you? Well, I guess Friday. What time? Morning, noon, afternoon? Okay, I'll see you Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock. How's that sound, Mr. Employer? Fine, got you down. See you then. As you've been taught, and I know some of you all have gone through training and some of you all have learned from Renee, the word is regurgitate. You don't just throw up on them about Aflac at that time. That's not the time to do that. You get the appointment set so you can go back and see half of them. And those half can let you back into the room, et cetera, et cetera. Who's following me? Raise your hand. Let's stay awake here. Okay, I'm getting into this. I'm getting excited. I wish I could make 30 calls a day. Now listen, those are the approaches. DMs, the next qualified down. DMs, you've made the appointment. You've got the decision maker and you're into the inner sanctum. Okay? Inner sanctum. Let me tell you what. Here is a golden tidbit, Renee, that you need to press upon these agents. What's that line say? When you get into them and you present, you tell Aflac, tell them what Aflac is, etc. For the employees, it's a reduced rate. It doesn't cost you a penny. It's taxed. It's reduced in taxes. You say, here's what we do. Y'all see that? Y'all see that? Come on, say you see it. Yeah. Here's what we do, Mr. Employer. We get a group established. Doesn't cost you anything. But by getting the group established, you allow me to come back in Friday and we'll see the employees. And all I need to help is 3. 3 makes a group. Of course, I want to see more than that. So please let me see an employee list. Make sure you get an employee list for me before I come back so I can see all the employees. Here's what we do. Put that in your brain. If I get anything over today and you say, that guy, here's what we do. I can't tell you how many times I say that. Here's what we do. We get a group established. Back then it was on paper. You remember that, Renee? Yeah, AAOD, it was a paper. Now it's on the phone or it's on the computer. Make sure that you have your SIC already established. You want to have your SIC established before you go in there in ABC Plumbing. Because if you do, you go ahead and get into NASA and get your group ready to go. So when he says, okay, let's get a group set up, you pull up your computer and you set that group up. That doesn't mean he's going to see you on Friday. Half of the time, he's not going to see you on Friday. But you've got the group set up. So if he doesn't see you on Friday, you can go back the next day or you can go back the next week. All right. So here's what we do. Set your enrollment conditions. I know all of you all are probably, Michael, you're preaching to the choir here. Set your employment conditions. Try to as best you can. You know, a lot of times I got so nervous, I didn't even think about that. When he said, yeah, you can come back, I got so excited, you know, that a lot of these things you forget. Get the employee list and then advertise. Make sure you give him a flyer or you bring flyers back. Who can see behind me over here? I don't know if you can or not. Who can see that tablecloth? Y'all seeing that?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if Renee has one of those or not. I got Renee. You know Brent Ford?
Yeah.
I got that tablecloth from Brent Ford 14 years ago. It's linen. My wife washes it about every month. I take it into every enrollment. I set up a table. I put that on it. I put these little ducks on it, which I know you all know about. See a little duck? I know you got ducks in the back. I used to have the big duck. And then I I auctioned it off one time. I said, if I can help 10 people today, I'm going to auction off the big duck. Guess what? You can't buy the big ducks anymore. You can get these. These are so cheap. Always carry these. Okay. So you set your employee condition. Use the list. Mr. Employee, I'm ready to go. Where's your list? Oh, I forgot to get it. I wish I could tell you that doesn't happen, but it happens all the time. So many times I don't get an employee list. So I grab the first employee I see, or maybe someone that's working in the front. What are the names of the employees? And I write them down. Now, there's sometimes they said, Michael, do you want them alphabetically? Oh my gosh. Yeah, I want them alphabetically. One-on-one, that would be great. You know, it happens. It happens. So get your list, see all of them. Michael, Mr. Brown didn't want to come see you. Golly, I'm really sorry. The employer wanted me to see everybody and at least give them a packet. Could you please tell them to come in? I guarantee you, 7 times out of 10, that person that didn't want anything, once he gets in and hears about Aflac and he understands it's $1 a day, $2 a day if he wants to put his family on it, he's going to get something. You're going to help him. You're going to help him. You're going to help him. See the list, use the list. Veterans. Anybody that's 2 years old, 2 years and more in this business. I know you've got a lot of things going on, but if you're just 2 or 3 or 4 years into this, you still should be making a lot of calls a day. A lot of calls a day. Believe me, in my last 3 years, in making what I did, what, a year and a half ago, over 500,000. It wasn't from new groups. I think I made 13 groups that year. It was from new business in existing groups. Service. Service is paramount. After you help somebody, you've gone the half, you've gone the half, you've gone the half, you've gotten into the inner sanctum, you've made the group, you've helped 6 people out of 10, maybe you've helped 8 out of 12, okay? And they start enrolling and you've got them enrolled and they call you up for help. You answer the phone. You've got to answer the phone. I file all my clients' claims. What? I do. I at least help them file all their claims. When I help somebody and I close that packet and say, here's my card, inside my card, inside my brochure, I'm going to show them. I've got a card right here. You're going to call me. I'm going to file all your claims. What do you mean? I want you to call me. Don't call Aflac. Why? Because you know what calling Aflac's like. You all have done that. I don't want them to get exasperated or frustrated. I want them to call me so I can help them file their claim and they can get paid in 2 or 3 days. Not all the time. I understand that. Directly into their checking account. Call me up. I'll set you up on your portal. After you do it 2 or 3 times, you won't want to talk to me anymore. You're going to do it yourself. And they get paid. When they get paid, I go to every morning. That's what I did this morning. Got to work. I looked at my claims. I saw how many people got paid. I call them up or I text them. By the way, Janice, you got paid $180 on your wellness benefit and your whatever. I wish I could tell you there was a secret to it. I told Renee that day, there's no secret to it. It's all hard work. Bible says, plan well, work hard, gain wealth. That's all there is. That's not all there is to it, but that's what it is. You know, if you like people and you like to get up and go after it, what's the old saying? If you love what you do, you don't go to work a day of your life. I love what I do. It's hard, especially now because I'm servicing so many groups and helping with so many claims. You know, I had a call from my RC the other day. He was telling me something. He said, can I do anything for you, Michael? You sure can. You can give me a lead for about 15 people that all want accident and short term. He laughed. That's all I ask. Anyway, I hope some of this has helped you. I appreciate the honor, Renee, of allowing me to come in. I feel like I've given you all some tidbits of wisdom that I've learned over the years. calls, 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 cold calls. There's nothing, there's no substitute. And again, I know that there's been some studies about it, but this wasn't a distractor years ago. It is nowadays. You know what I'm talking about. Every one of y'all know what I'm talking about. You got to put it down and you got to make the calls. That's it. There's no secret. You make 30 calls a day, 20 calls a day, work 4.5 days a week, the other half a day, do your reports, maybe stop at about 3 o'clock. I stop at 3 o'clock on Friday now. My wife's a school teacher, said, Michael, you got to stop at 3 o'clock on Friday. I do. I stop at 3 o'clock on Friday. You know what? I really, really like it. But you know why? Because I know that I put in the amount of work I needed that week to perform what I needed to perform. I really like you guys, the way you look. You're sharp. I know that Renee has taught you a lot. I hope this has helped you today. Renee, if you'd like to give him my number, I have no problem with that. Renee, thank you so much for letting me come in.
Yeah. So,
if anybody would like to ask me questions, my wife said, Michael, see if they have any questions.
So I got a question for you, Michael. So
Sure.
You talk about 30 calls a day, right? We have our gold standard that we, all the agents know what that should look like, right? How do you plan around that? Because I know a key to being able to get to your numbers every single day or your cold calls every day, an important aspect is planning, ahead of time, right? So what does your day look like and how do you prepare for your day and plan for your day?
Well, years ago, it was leaving the house at 8 o'clock or 7:30, whatever, and getting right after it. If I had some appointments set, I would go to the office and get my SIC established. Okay. If it wasn't that, I would start making calls as soon as I could. I'd drive to the nearest business, and start making calls. Not so much phone calls. My pleasure was making cold calls, not phone calls. It was cold calls, knocking on doors. There's something about seeing a face that really brings it home to an employer. I pulled up in front of one of my biggest groups nowadays. I pulled up in front of it, says, no soliciting, big red letters. I knew not to go into that door. I got out my phone. I called the phone number on the outside. It was an air conditioning company. Who answered it? The owner. I said, Mr. Owner, this is Michael Powell. I'm with Aflac. I'm outside of your office, but I saw your no soliciting sign. I knew I shouldn't come in. He said, oh my gosh, no one's ever paid attention to that sign. You may come in, Mr. Power. Knock on the doors, make your calls. How do I set my day up? What I do now is totally different from what most of you all need to do, because most of my day is all servicing. But if I had a day to where I could make calls, I'd go down right now, I'd get this call sheet and I'd get in my car and I'd drive to the nearest business I could find that I hadn't seen and start knocking on the door. And right next to him is another one and another one and another one and another one. And you get to those places where they say, oh, I've had Aflac come by. I've had Aflac come by. I've had Aflac come by. And the very next one says, I've never had Aflac come in. I've been waiting for that. But you're not going to get to that person or that group unless you make the calls, or you make the phone calls, or you write down car signs. There's really no magic. There's no formula besides making the calls that you need to make to set the appointments. That's bottom line. I wish I could tell you there was more to it, Renee, but in Fort Worth especially, oh my gosh, what's the saturation there in Fort Worth, Renee? 6-7%?
It's less than that, probably closer to 3.5%, 4%.
3.5% of employers in Fort Worth have Aflac. Oh my gosh. It's all out there for you. They're just waiting to see you, but they're not going to see you if you don't make the calls. Fill this up twice a day or try to, and you'll be very, very, very successful. Now, I don't usually do this, but I'm going to. Here's Here's what Aflac will do for you. Now, I don't know if who's been on trips for Aflac, who's not, but I've been on a lot of them, and they're all free. And this is my family in Hawaii. In 2017, I took my whole family to Hawaii because Aflac paid my way. That was a great day. That was a great day. That was a great trip. I'm not tooting my horn. I'm just saying that came about because I made these calls, let alone renewals. Who's getting renewals in here?
Yep.
Yeah, you're getting renewals. Come on. If you're not getting renewals now, make the calls. Keep them on the books. Why do I file claims? To keep them on the books. It's longevity. It's not helping somebody today and next month they drop off because those renewals aren't going to build. You keep them on the books over 14 years, 125 groups, and your renewal is pretty doggone good. But I don't rest on my laurels. I want to keep going out there and getting new groups. That's why I asked my regional manager for a lead. By the way, he gave me one. 19 employees. Woohoo! I'm getting ready to call on them right now. Who knows? Well, anybody have any questions out there?
What keeps him motivated? Is it somebody else or is it you?
Ask him yourself.
Hey, Michael,
Yeah, bud.
I really appreciate all your energy, but what I want to know is what keeps you motivated? Is it somebody or is it you?
Is it what?
Somebody else or is it you?
No, it's me. I don't have any beside me. I don't have an assistant. That's a good question. I often ask myself, I guess it was in my father's blood to work hard. But I tell you what, once, that's a good question. Once I set that first group and there were 10 people in it, and I got a check for $2,500 in my checking account 3 days later or the next day, oh my gosh. Get out of the way. Get out of the car, Philip Calicchio. Get out of the car, Renee. Get him out of the car so I can make calls. Really, come on, think about it. It doesn't have to be a 20-man group or a 30-man group. Most of my groups are small. You know, I would love it for somebody to say, Michael, come into to my office. I got 6 people. Yeah.
We're in session, sir.
Oh, okay.
We can't.
All right. Sorry. Close the door. Thank you, ma'am. I guess I'm talking too loud. Anyway, that was my neighbor. Anyway, good question. I just, I drive myself and I want to make sure that I work hard every day. It is really all biblical. Really, I love the Lord with all my heart and all my soul. And he said, the blessing of the Lord brings wealth and he'll add no trouble to it. He said, plan well, work hard, gain well, Michael. He said, humility and the fear of the Lord bring wealth, honor, and life. He also said, he who loves me will inherit wealth. I will fill their treasury. Man, I'm telling you what, I need all that. I need all of that. I need every bit of that. So I hope that some of the things I've shared with you all today, well, I know they are. They're wise because I learned them from somebody that was wise, and you gain wisdom by listening to somebody that's wiser. Not that I'm smart. I just I like what I do. So once you get your groups, once you do your calling, and once you set up start servicing, answer your phone, start your serving, keep them on the books. Keep them on the books. Okay, for a long time. Do you lose groups, Michael? Yeah, I lose groups. It really hurts my soul, but I lose groups. Colonial comes in, boom. Before I know it, I've lost a group. Hurts my soul. Ugh, whatever. But that's going to happen. You're going to have people drop off, but not because of my service. I have not because of my service. Y'all have a great day. You have a great week. Anybody else have a question?
Questions, anybody? I got one more question for you, Michael. So we have a lot of new agents in the room, right? And so
Good.
in the beginning, obviously, as you mentioned, right, it's the prospecting, right? It's making the calls. At what point in your career did you get to a point where you had enough groups who were like, now you started working within your groups, gaining referrals? What did that look like, and how far in were you in your career?
It's a long time. It's a long time. It's probably 8, 9, 10 years where I had to start slowing down as far as making calls. But before that, I just kept building and building and building. So you rookies, you neophytes, you got a long way to go, but that's okay. It's a journey, and it's supposed to be a job. Remember, this is your business. So get out and get after it day after day, month after month, year after year. You're going to start accumulating those groups. You're going to start being able to service them, and you're going to start your renewals. You listen, you rookies out there, you're going to start getting some renewals, $200, $400, $500, $1,000. Oh my gosh. It's going to start building and building and building and building. And all of a sudden you're going to make super track. What's the accolades now? Fast track, super track, all these bonuses that Renee is offering you guys. All these bonuses that he's offering you. You're not going to get them without that. You're not going to get the trips without making the calls. So yeah, you rookies, it's getting out there and get after it. I'm talking about no less than 8 hours a day. And I'm not talking about playing golf on Wednesday or maybe even Friday. It's your business. How much money do you want to make? How many people do you want to help? I want to help a lot of people. And I'm not greedy, but the Lord said, I'm going to make a lot of money if I go out there and work hard. So I like to work hard. I'm 72 years old. I'm not going to retire for a long time. No way. My wife says, well, you'll start slowing down. No, I don't know about that. You're going to have to start coming home at 4 o'clock. I don't know about that. But anyway, it's all a matter of how much do you want to work? I guess, I don't guess, it's it. How much do you want to work? And you rookies that have to set, you have the goals that Renee sets for you all. It's not hard to set them. It's not hard to reach those goals. You just got to get it in your mind to go out there and get it done. In fact, if I were you, I'd be itching in my pants for Renee to get over this group meeting and get out there and start scattering like little ants and start making the calls. One after another.
Yeah.
I'd say about 8 or 9 years, Renee,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. Maybe 10 years. It's been a while since I've been able to go out and cold call all day long. But regardless.
We got one
Who's
more
the youngest? Go ahead.
question for you, Michael. You had a question? All right, let me go. Well, we
Hey,
have
Michael, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Good. I'm probably the oldest rookie that you'll ever meet in your life. I'll turn 75 in July. This is my
Okay.
new career, and I'm really excited about it, and I'm in it for a personal reason. Now, when you go to the companies, you walk in, you don't call, right? Right? Means
No, cold call. You walk in.
walk in. And so would you do for me real quick, just a
Sure. Sure.
customer-
I say, absolutely. I say, good morning. How are you? Could I speak to the HR department or the office manager? And
yeah,
I say,
they're really
and
good.
I say, you might be both of those. And usually, hopefully I get a chuckle. No, I'm not the HR and I'm not the office manager either. Oh, well, could I meet them? I'd like to talk to them about supplemental insurance. Well, who are you with? Supplemental insurance. I'd like to help them. Well, who are you with? I try to put that off as long as I can. And then if I am so blessed to get past the gatekeeper and someone comes out in authority, I'll introduce myself as Michael Power. I'm an Aflac agent, and I'd like to show you how you can help your employees without costing you a penny. Are you interested in helping your employees without costing you anything? What? Yeah, this doesn't cost you anything. Okay, you form a group under Aflac. Okay, you get 3 people to join, and then you get almost a 48% reduced rate on plans for your employees, $1 a day, unless they want their families on. It's a little bit more. So yeah, I'd like to help you with Aflac. It doesn't cost you a penny. It's also, I set in a tax savings plan for you. And health insurance, I'm not going to change anything you have. you have health insurance or you have TRICARE in your business or whatever. I'm not going to change anything you have. I want to complement what you don't have. And that's money coming into your employees. Should they get hurt or their employees get hurt, I mean, their spouses get hurt or their children get hurt, and they can't come to work this week because Johnny fell off his bike and broke his arm, or they had an accident and they couldn't work. Workman's comp, I'm not going to change that. This is going to pay right on top of that. Are you interested in something that would help your employees without costing you anything? And I just be quiet and listen. Well, yeah, I think so. Great. How about this week? What day would be good for you? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday? Well, Thursday. Great. Thursday. Morning, noon, afternoon. Oh, afternoon. Okay, 2 o'clock? Yeah, okay. Got you down, wrote you down here. See you at 2 o'clock, Mr. Employee. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate you allowing me to serve you. Talk to you later. Bye. How would you like me to help you? Yeah. How would you like me to help your employees? It doesn't cost you a penny. That's what I do. I made that, I mean, back in the days, I'd say that so many times a day, so many times a day. Doesn't mean that I got a lot of people saying yes, but at least I made the calls. And then there's a 1 car sign to my left as I was coming home. And he's a police officer from St. Louis. He had Aflac before. It's a matter of calls. So that's really what I do. I don't say I'm with Aflac to begin with. In fact, I keep away from that as long as I possibly can.
Great, thanks, sir.
You're welcome. No, you're welcome. Absolutely.
Got another question, Michael.
Sure.
Hi, Michael. Thank you so much.
Hi.
I love it.
Yeah.
You had mentioned twice there's like $1 or less than $1, I would know, a day. So what is your pitch when you are talking, like in an employee presentation? Access. You can give us just a quick, like.
Sure, I can. Well, first off, in an employee presentation, I'd like it to be one-on-one. But a lot of times you don't get that blessing. I'd rather be a one-on-one presentation. But if it's with a group, then I'm gonna tell them, I'm gonna say, has anybody ever had Aflac in here? Most of the time they're gonna say no. Let me tell you about Aflac. Aflac is insurance, but it's supplement. What do you mean? It's supplement. It's income replacement. I don't care if you have Medicare, Medicaid, health insurance with your husband, health insurance here, your kids have chips. I don't care. I'm not going to change anything you have. What I'm going to do is complement what you don't have. Would you like to have some money coming in if you couldn't work because of an accident or sickness? Now, most people, if they're nice or smart, they're going to say, well, yeah, I would. Well, great. Let me show you how I can help you at $1 a day. Help you pay your bills. That's what Aflac is. It's going to pay to you right in your checking account to help you pay your mortgage, your rent, your CPS, your SAWS, your credit cards, your car payments, your kids' college loans. If you'd like that, then let me tell you about Aflac. And then I start handing out a brochure. Again, I'd rather do one-on-one. But if they're not, then I hand out packets that have my brochures in them. And most of the time I have them full. I'll have everywhere from accident, short-term, cancer, dental and vision. If they have dental and vision there already, I'm not trying to supplant that. But even though a lot of times when they have dental and vision at a group, some of them don't participate in it. So I go thoroughly through the accident plan. And I go from top to bottom. Hospitalization, emergency room, specific injury benefit, MRIs or CAT scans, ambulance. I take quite a bit of time on the accident plan because that's my biggest seller. That should be your biggest seller too, because it's so inexpensive. And after I talk to somebody, I love it if it's their weekly. By the way, that plan for you weekly, Mr. Plumber, is $6.21 a week. What do you mean? Yeah, $6.21 a week. Add your wife, it's $8.28. But if I'm at a group, I'm smart enough now to know that actually, I should have said that before I started. I usually hand out an employer information sheet. If I get in front of a group, I'm going to hand them an information sheet. I don't want to bore you all, but listen, and I'll email this to Renee. Hey, could you all fill this out for me real quickly? It's not a commitment, but I don't know anything about you. I don't know if you're married. I don't know if you have kids, et cetera, et cetera. It's your name, it's your birthday, your email address. You don't want to put your social on it. That's fine. If I do help you, it's going to, I'm going to need that. And if you're married, whether you want to insure them or not, put the spouse on there. By the way, common law is applicable. Okay. So all of these are filled out and I'll ask for them back. And so I'll have passed out these packets and I'll go through the accident plan. And if I'm feeling like I've got some interest, you know, you're going to get your interest questions. Well, how does that work? How does this work? How does that work? You're going to get those feedback questions, those yes questions. And then you know you've got some people that are interested. Okay. So I go around the room and I'll go, okay, Mr. Brown, how can I help you with that plan? Did you want you or your spouse on that? Oh, I see you've got children. Well, I want me and my wife. My children are on Medicaid. Well, it doesn't really matter. Medicaid doesn't pay you anything. Okay. Well, how much is for the children? $12.12. A Sonic burger. What? A Sonic burger to put you and your family on that. And by the way, it comes with $50,000 worth of life insurance for you and your spouse and $12,500 for the kids. I could go on and on and on. So I help them. I'll go around the room and I'll talk to people. If you get 3 people, you're golden. You got 10 people in there, and let's say I've helped 7 people with the accident plan. From then on, it's just icing on the cake. You know, I'm feeling good. I've got the group, and then I go on to short-term disability. Short-term disability is where you continue to get a paycheck if you can't work. Well, Michael, I thought that's what the accident plan is. Well, no, if I pull out here on this road by your company and I get run over, I'm going to get paid quite a bit of money, whether I'm hospitalized, whether I'm hurt badly, if I just go to the emergency room, et cetera. But my short-term disability, and I'll bring up a packet, but my short-term disability is going to continue to pay you every day you can't work for an accident or sickness. And that's only for you. That's why I ask you what you made an hour, what your gross annual salary. I see somebody makes $30,000 in here. You're eligible up to $1,500 a month. It's all IRS generated. Oh, by the way, it includes maternity. Bingo. Light goes on. Elevator goes to the top. Bam. If you got a lot of childbearing women out there, that's important to them because most likely they don't have maternity. Really, seriously, they don't have maternity. So you go back around the room, you say, who can I help you with this? And you help whoever wants that. And by the way, just because you get through helping with the accident and you get through helping with the short term, it doesn't mean that when all the meeting's over with, somebody come back in and say, oh, Michael, I want that vision out. Anyway, you've gone the accident, you got the short term. Next is cancer. Who's got cancer in the family? My dad died of cancer, 56 years old. I'm 72 years old. I own the cancer plan. I don't want to use it. By the way, your kids are free. So if I'm talking to anybody in here that's got cancer in their family, I highly suggest you look at this. It's $3.83 a week. You got 5 children. It's $3.83 a week. What do you mean? It's $3.83 a week for you and your children. They're free. By the way, grandchildren are covered for free up to the age of 26. Dental and vision. It's pretty. It's cute. It's good. But if they have dental and vision at where they're working, I'm not going to try to supplant that. I'm usually going to pass over that. I'm going to say, if you're interested in the dental and vision, come see me after our meeting. And quite frankly, I get a lot of people come up that want to talk about dental and vision. If they say to me, well, tell us about the dental, then I tell them about it. You all should know about the dental. You get a card, et cetera, et cetera. I've even made a list of dentists that I've personally called, okay, that take Aflac. That way I can give them a list of these dentists and they say, hey, use these dentists. I know I've been running on and on and on here. So that's what I do. I present all these packets. If I've helped 6 out of 10, boy, that's a great day. That's a real good day. I know you all know that. Maybe you've helped 8 out of 9, whatever. Then the meeting's over and a lot of people come back in. And by the way, you know, after you get those premium deduction authorities signed, you give them the packet, you've got the card in there, you call me. Don't have an accident until the next month. You call me when you do. That's that. You use the list. Now, that's a group presentation. If you don't have a group presentation, then you use your list. And you hopefully have somebody helping you call in these people, which usually you will. If you've done your job and your employer presentation, if you've done your job about how much you can save the employee and how much it's going to help them, keep them on the books, keep them employees working there, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you all for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. We appreciate you. any closing comments you want to close us out with?
No, I carry these around. Carry these around. I can't, it's been a pleasure. It's been a long time since I've presented like this. I get fired up. I know you all can tell I get fired up. I'm going to leave here and I'm going to have a better day because I've helped somebody. If Renee, if you want my number, get my number. I'd love to talk to you. In the meantime, go out there and get after them. Go out there and make the calls, right? All right, let's do it. See you later, Renee.
Michael, have a great rest of the day and happy.
You too, buddy. Bye-bye.